Hey guys, today I'm going to talk about my YouTube filming and editing workflow from start to finish. I'll take you through everything I do to create YouTube videos. So let's get started. So just a bit of backstory, I'm Kate Silver and I sell online courses about graphic design and video editing, mostly using Adobe softwares. And so I created a YouTube channel trying to put my tutorials out there and promote my courses. So that was the backstory. That's how I qualify. Now let's get down to business and let's talk about how to create YouTube videos. So what we're going to talk about in this video is my research process, how I find topics, my recording process, my video and audio tools, the studio setup, adding B-roll and editing, adding animation, exporting, and so much more. So let's get started. All right, so let's start with number one, and that's the research process. So that's the first thing I do. What I do is I kind of open up Notion and I write down, I do a brainstorming and I just write down all my ideas, and then I'll make a list of all the topics that I could cover. And I actually have one of those lists now with future video ideas, and what I do per video is I narrow down the one that I want to focus on. Once I decided on a topic, that's where I'll start doing research. So me personally, I do video tutorials about Adobe softwares and Canva as well. So that's when I'll start researching that tool. I'll play around, I'll open the software, and I'll really focus on all the things I want to cover. And what I like to do is do a pretend video where I'm just talking to myself, but I'm pretending that I'm talking to you guys. And I like to practice. Sometimes I'll create an exercise as well. So I put down on my Notion list, I put down the bullet points of everything I want to cover. I personally don't script my videos. I really speak off the cuff because it just works better for me. It's more natural and I think it just works better for me. But other teachers and other YouTube creators will script their videos. I don't. What I do script is the intro and the outro. So now that I have my Notion list with the bullet points and things I want to cover, the intro, the outro, that's when I want to choose the title of the video. And I'll do some research on SEOs, and sometimes I'll also ask ChatGPT to find me the best and optimized title for my YouTube video. Okay, so now we have the title down, we have the bullet points and the content. The next super important thing for a YouTube video is the thumbnail. So arguably, title and thumbnails are probably the most important things about YouTube videos. They're a make it or break it thing. So for my thumbnails, I'll have a think about my thumbnails, but most of the time I'll use an existing template that I created in Adobe Photoshop. It's very simple. I like simple. And what I'll do is change the headshot, I'll change the text, and I'll change the colors. So I really recommend creating a little template for yourself for YouTube thumbnail videos. Now, if you don't know Photoshop, then you can check out my Adobe Photoshop class where you will learn how to do this. Or Canva is also really great, and I also have a class for that. Or you could just wing it and have a little play if you're tech savvy and just figure it out yourself how to create YouTube thumbnails. So that was it for the initial research and title and thumbnail process. The next section is the audio and video setup. Very important. Not as important as the content itself, because I really believe if you have good content and you have a voice, then even if the video is not so great and the audio is meh, you can still have an audience. But I do love a good quality video and audio. It's so fun to learn how to improve that. So anyway, let's talk about it. I'll start with video. So for video, I have my lights. And the most important thing, if you're going to invest in anything, is a key light. And that's a light in front of you. And I would also invest in a diffuser. I'm using this white umbrella, which will diffuse the light and make it less harsh. Otherwise, you can see every wrinkle and pimple, and you can still see every wrinkle and pimple, but just less. So yeah, I recommend a key light. Now, what I do, I also have a fill light or cool lights in the background, and I now have fairy lights. Isn't that awesome? I have a DSLR Canon camera on a tripod. So I set that up. And I make sure that the battery of my camera is fully charged. And I also have a second battery because I'm now filming in 4K, which is awesome. I upgraded my videos, and 4K consumes a lot of battery. So I always have a second fully charged battery that is there ready to be swapped. So that's cool. And I make sure that all the lights have their batteries charged. So that's it for the batteries. So that's it for video. So lights, camera, action. Now let's talk about the audio. So I'm talking from a Shure SM7B microphone, and it's on a little stand, and I have the cables, the XLR cables from Cable Matters that are black. Now you can use any microphone. You can use a lapel mic, which is the one you stick here, which I also use sometimes, from Rode, which is very good. If you're using a Shure SM7B, you're gonna need a Focusrite Scarlett interface or another interface to make sure that the microphone can connect to the computer. I also use a cloud lifter to make it louder because the Shure SM7B is not loud, so it makes it louder, which is great. Now, also great to echo-proof the room, meaning at carpet or whatnot. I'm using also echo foam panels, and I have a cat tree, and I have stuff all over the place. It's quite a mess, but it helps with the echo. The best thing to do is actually to hang echo foam panels everywhere or stick them all over the place. It's the most neat and it's best, but I like having cat trees and blankets. So that takes us to the third section, which is recording. So for recording, I'm checking, do I have everything I need? Do I have the camera? Is it fully charged? Do I have enough space in my SD camera, which make sure you have enough space, especially for 4K because it consumes a lot of storage. Is my microphone connected to that screen recording software? Yes, check. And I'll have my Notion bullet points open just like now so I can stare back at it and yeah. Okay, so once I have everything, I have the lights, I have the audio, I have the recording software, I can press play. And that's where I'll start doing a bit of pretend practice at first. At first, I'm just like warming up my voice and getting comfortable and doing a pretend practice, checking that everything sounds and looks good. And then I'll do another one. And this is my first take. Now, I tend to take about 1 to 5 takes, depending on how good it is. If I'm not happy with something, I'll just re-record it and re-record it. And sometimes I'll just do 1 take if I'm super happy with the recording. So it really depends. Now, when I'm actually recording, I make mistakes. So my whole recording isn't a perfect take. If I mumble on my words or jumble on my words, which happens a lot with my accent, or I forget how to say something, or I can't think of a word and I'm like, there's a really long pause, I'll just repeat the sentence or repeat what I want to say until I'm happy with it. So later in editing, I'll just cut it. And once I finish recording and I'm happy with it, I press pause on my camera, I pause the screen recording, and then I bring all the files to my computer or on an external hard drive. Which brings me to the fourth one, it's preparing content. So preparing content, I want to make sure that I have all my files. Do I have the video? Do I have the audio and B-roll, which I'll explain in a little bit. So let's start with the video. So my camera, I'll put my SD card on my computer and I'll import the videos. And then the screen recording software and the audio recording software, sometimes I do have to convert this to either a WAV file or an MP4. So I'll do this, and now I have my MP4s of my video and my audio. Now for B-roll. So I do film quite a bit of B-roll. B-roll is when someone is talking to the camera and at the same time, the camera is showing something that they're talking about. So for instance, for me, I'll film myself attaching a mic when I was talking about my video for the Shure SM7B mic, or I'll film myself typing on a computer or working on a project, and then I'll show this whilst I'm talking. So instead of seeing me directly, you'll see what I'm talking about in a video. So I usually have a folder with lots of B-roll, and I just collect it and reuse it in a lot of videos. Why not? I think it's absolutely fine. And sometimes I'll make new video if I need to talk about something that I don't have a B-roll yet of. I also make sure that I have my logo animation, which is a template that I edit in Adobe After Effects. So yes, I use Adobe, all Adobe software, almost everything I do. I also make sure that I collect music, background music. You can do that from YouTube libraries, or I've been using Artlist, and also sound effects. So like a ding or, stuff like that. I love those sound effects. So I collect them from a few websites as well. Right, so now I have all my stuff. I have all my content, and that's when we can finally move on to number 4 or number 5, and that is editing, the editing process. So I personally edit all my videos in Adobe Premiere Pro because I'm an Adobe girl and I just like the workspaces and the interfaces, and I know shortcuts from other softwares, so I can just use them here as well. And frankly, I find Adobe Premiere Pro quite easy to use. Now, if you don't have Adobe Premiere Pro, then check out my link in the description and you can access Adobe Premiere Pro. I really recommend. I think it's one of my favorite softwares from Adobe actually. So that's fun. So I open Adobe Premiere Pro and I import all my clips. I import the video, I import the audio of my microphone, the B-roll, the logo animation, the sound effects, and the background music, all in Adobe Premiere Pro. Okay, now for the editing. Let's start with color. So that's where I'm gonna have a look at color. And there's something called Lumetri color. And I like to click on auto because it will automatically do a pretty good job at adjusting the color. If I still think it needs minor adjustments, then I will minorly adjust it. I'll change things like the exposure, the temperature, the saturation, the tint. Sometimes I like to boost the saturation, add more color because it stands out more. So I like to play with these. Then we have the audio editing. So for audio editing, I like to make sure that I go to the workspace that's called sound. Now there's a new enhanced speech tool, and it's great for a lot of people, but I've noticed that with my voice, it doesn't sound that good, especially when I'm very high pitched. And I don't know if it's less good for female voices, perhaps, I'm not sure, but it doesn't sound that good for me. So I don't always use it. Sometimes if I will use it, I'll use it really just a tad, just a tiny bit at 0.2 or something. So then I make some minor adjustments ever so slightly because my sound is already good to begin with because I've echo-proofed the room. I have a good microphone set up, so it should already be good, like ever so slightly. Because the moment you edit it too much, it becomes very distorted and it sounds robot-y, which I don't like. And I like to try and keep my voice as natural as possible. Okay, and now we're gonna talk about animation and further editing. So first of all, once I've done the video and the audio, like the sound and the color editing, I make sure that I make a bunch of duplicates of that sequence. Make a lot of sequence. If there's something you've learned from this video that you're gonna take away is that you need to make duplicates of your sequences. Because I've learned the hard way that you can overwrite stuff and you're lost, and just make duplicates, make copies, especially before cutting and splitting clips. So I make duplicates or copies, and then I start working in the next copy. And that's where I start making rough cuts. I start kind of roughly cutting, and then I make more precise cuts. I start removing all the bits, like all the mistakes, all the all the words that I said too much, all the words that I mumbled on. So all the bad stuff and the long pauses. And then my video tends to be a lot smaller than the original. Okay, now about animations. So for animations, I have all my B-rolls and I have all my logos and icons, and I start adding them in wherever necessary. So if I'm gonna talk about my camera, I'll probably add a picture or a video of myself touching the camera and things like that. So wherever it makes sense. Now for actual video animations and transitions. So in Premiere Pro, you can make a clip bigger and smaller, and you can make it go in and out and scale, and it's really cool. It adds a bit more oomph and it makes it more exciting. And also, especially if you're, breathing or you have a cut, then you can cut it and then make the next little clip bigger. So zoomed in or zoomed out, zoomed in, zoom out, and it adds a lot of stimulation to the video, and a lot of video creators do that today. Now there's also effects like video transitions where you can page peel, slide the page, fade into white, and a bunch of really cool stuff that I also use in my video. I add the background music, I add the really fun sound effects like ding, dang, and stuff like that, super fun, and I add logos where necessary. Phew, so that's a lot. Now that we've done our video editing process, we can finally talk about exporting. Now, exporting is probably the fastest, quickest, easiest thing. Just make sure that you do a bunch of export tests and that you're happy with the sound and the video. And I export my videos in 4K, which is what I film in, and I want to post my videos in 4K. The utmost quality. Now, if you want to export just the clip you're working on, let's say you have a bunch of clips in a sequence and you only want to export that clip, then you can choose the input and output, in and out. And the shortcut for that is I for in and O for output. And that section in between is the section that will be exported. So input and output. Right, now we can start uploading our video on YouTube. So first I go to YouTube and I click on the little plus and I load my video. And whilst it's loading and compressing and processing, that's when I start typing the title, the SEO, the description, the tags. And I sometimes use ChatGPT as well to ask it what is the best optimized titles and SEOs and stuff like that. So great. Now, another very important thing is my links. So I sell online courses and I also have affiliate links for softwares. So I have Skillshare referrals for membership. I have Adobe and I have my own courses and Udemy. And what I do is I actually have a Notion spreadsheet with all my quick links, all the links. And I just grab those links and I paste it in my YouTube video. But now that I have a bunch of videos, what I do is I just copy from a previous video and paste it. It's things like my courses, my class referral links, my software links. And then I start adding timestamps. I like to time every section and chapter of my video because I think it's better for my students. Especially if I have long videos, I want them to only be able to go to where is useful for them. So what I do is I play the video on 1.5 or 2 speed, and then I check every chapter and I name them, and I start with 00, double point, 00. Maybe write in the comment section how you pronounce the double point. What's the name of it? Okay. Then I can add end screens. End screen is when at the end of the video, it tells you to go to another video, watch next, or go to your channel. And that is, I just copy it from the previous, or I let YouTube decide, because I think the algorithm of YouTube is quite clever. So it'll give the viewer the next logical video. Then I add cards. Cards is where you can add other videos yourself and even links. And I'll add my links of my online courses that are linked to the topic, the tutorial. Phew, now you have all the stuff, you can start publishing your video. And I like to schedule my video in advance and schedule on the best day and the best time according to YouTube data, where my viewers are online. All right, we've launched our video. How exciting. What now? So post-launch marketing. So one of the first things I do, which maybe is a bit cringy, I don't know, but I send my videos to my friends and family. I don't know if they like it, but I send it anyway, just in case they do. Then I'll publish my videos to Instagram. I'll make a YouTube community post. And finally, I'll include my video in my Substack newsletter. So any way you're doing marketing is good. Market your video. Phew, that is a lot of stuff to cover. And voila, we're done with the video. So I hope this was helpful to you, and I hope you can go on and publish your first video or publish more videos, and hopefully this will have informed your own video process. Or if you're completely new to YouTube, today's the day to start, and hopefully you will have learned a thing or two. So be proud of yourself, publish a video. And my name is Kate Silver, and it's been an honor to teach you. If you want to learn a little bit more about Adobe Premiere Pro, I have a class about video podcasting where I also teach Riverside FM, which is a super cool podcast software. So check it out. The link is below. And voila, it's been a pleasure.